It is 7 p.m. and welcome to the regular city council meeting of the city of Cosmopolis. If you would, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. And I will ask Nick to lead us this evening.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us on this Wednesday evening. We'll start this meeting with roll call, please.
Councilmember Moffitt. Present. Councilmember Carlisle. Present. Councilmember Ansich.
Present.
Councilmember Robinson.
Present.
Councilmember Wenzel.
Present.
All departments are here represented this evening as well. Moving on to approval of the agenda, and I am asking for an adjustment just because of the crowd size in here. I'm asking that we adjust the agenda to move item G, the Friends of Highland Park grant for Lions Club Park, and we're going to move that way up to the top right after public comments, if the council is open.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adjust the agenda to move item G after public comments this evening. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? So passed. Approval of the agenda as amended. What's the council's pleasure?
Make a motion there first.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the amended agenda. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So passed. It is now time for the public comment section of the agenda, and this is for agenda items. If the public has any comments that they'd like to share this evening, now would be the time. We just ask that you introduce yourself prior to your comment, and you limit yourself to 3 minutes if possible. But the floor is open for agenda items. Not seeing anybody jump up. We will move on to the consent agenda, claims vouchers, and meeting minutes from the December 21st council meeting.
I make the motion, we accept the consent agenda.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Oh, I totally forgot that I moved things, but we'll get there. That's my fault. Habits. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? So passed. You get in the habits, it's just starts coming out. So now we will move on to the amended agenda, item G, Friends of Highland Park. And I saw Linda.
She's there.
Oh,
Just be Linda.
hidden in the crowd. Linda, the floor is yours.
Thanks, thanks, Brian, for showing that. We're going into a new year. We had a successful year last year with the Highland Park and our Christmas lighting the corridor. Thank you, Darren and Jeff, and all the volunteers that showed up for many work parties that helped make it a success. So after we start moving into the new year, you know, the Friends of Highland Park, we are dedicated to helping we continue to improve our community and build on what we started. And with that said, we are partnering with the Lions Club. That is a very important part that as people come into our community, it's very visual. A lot of people may not know there was a risk assessment done on our first in this community a few years ago, and they're all in dire need of repair. And so Lions Club is right up there. And so our plan this year is to work with the Lions Club, work with the city, and for me to write grants. And what we're going to do, our first phase is to put up a new communal covered area. And for those of you who have been up to Highland Park, we have a nice covered area. that we will be hoping to get the funding for Lion Park and a brand new swing set. That as we think about the park, we want to make sure the parks are ADA accessible and really meet the needs of all the people using the park. We can't have a complete inclusive ADA because of the cost. It's very prohibitive, but we want to have elements that makes it a park that everyone can use. And so the first phase, the city, Jeff, especially, put a ton of work into Highland Park. I mean, we were up there every day talking, looking at things. And so looking at the issue, how do we take that off the city? And, you know, this project isn't going to be the Highland Park project, it's gonna be probably a third or even less than that of what the Highland Park project was. And so looking at that, all of the equipment that we order, the building will all be installed. I'm writing the grants to ensure that happens. We talked with Darren and Jeff and Bob and Frank. And were really an important piece of this, looking at where the equipment would go and what would that entail. And so Jeff, you want to speak a little bit about that now? What needs to be done to that park, and so as I said, it will be a new swing set. And I'll have this picture around for you to see, and we're gonna keep, and the park will, like you can see there. Just kind of pass it around to the swing set. See this swing set, as you know, it has like 4 swings now, and they're really in need of being redone. So at this point, I am going to hopefully finish the grant and have it off on Friday to accommodate getting the swing set and the communal covered area. And then we'll look at the next phases of the climbing toys and the belt. And so the only work that I would see that really probably that will need to be done will be putting in the border. Once we get the climbing toy in, that'll be later in the summer. And Friends of Highland Park and the Lions Club, we will get together and we will typically help install that like we did up at Highland Park. I don't know, any questions? We have with the Park Advisory Board to present this tonight. Donna, anything you want to say regarding that? No, that's great. Okay, so it's we're asking for the council to approve of moving forward with the submitting the grant on Friday for this. It looks like this will be about a $32,000 project, covered area in the spending stuff, and then we'll move on to the next.
Is there a match component required from the city?
No,
on that
no,
one?
because we're a nonprofit, and I know Julie will be happy to know this because she handled some of the bigger grants last year, like the Community Foundation, T-Mobile, and AARP. This particular grant will go through the Friends of Highland, being handled through our bank account, which is a nonprofit at Timberland. And as you know, we have a board and we have 3 people that sat on our account, so there'll be no match for this, which is great. And anything else? Any other questions that you may have? So we're asking for approval of the report.
Thank you, Linda, and thank you for the work that you've done on this, and thank you to the Lions as well. Can we do the afternoon? Yeah, so since we moved that up, the council does have.
Go
Sorry.
ahead.
The council does have that information, and the Parks Committee had a chance to review it. Thoughts, actions?
Looks great. I make a motion to approve it.
I'll second.
It has been moved and seconded to work with Friends of Highland Park on that grant for Lions Club for Lions Park. Is there any discussion from the council?
They did a great presentation. I think it's a great idea. Circumstances. Get out of it.
Yeah, sounds great to me. Looking forward to seeing improvements at that park.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, what is the council's pleasure on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So passed. Thank you, Linda, and we look forward to working with the Friends and working with the Lions to help move this forward. So you're all welcome, of course, to stay for the meeting if you'd like. If not, we would not, we would understand, but thank you, everyone. Moving on to committee reports this evening, and we'll start with Parks.
We had a quick meeting and we clearly passed what we talked about.
Public Works,
No meeting, no report.
Public Safety.
Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah. Public Safety.
Well, public safety, yeah, so we had a meeting early January with both Chief Lehman and Chief Valley. So we talked about city chaplain, which I think we're talking about later tonight. We talked about new officer recruitment, which I think we're talking about tonight as well. We went over what we've discussed in RFA meetings previously. Let's see here, we had a recap of response for December for the fire department. And then big part of what we talked about for the fire department was the need for new computers that go into their fire trucks and ambulance. It's not an agenda item tonight, but it's something to be thinking about that we're right now working with really old equipment. And I think we're missing at least one computer. Yes, so with working with the software requirements that are present now and in the future, we're kind of in a pickle. So it's something that needs to be on our minds about replacing those NVTs. So, yep.
Miles, I
Yeah.
have reached out through the state shared purchasing and reach out to Microsoft, CDW, and a couple other companies to get the pricing on those
Okay,
in hopes that we can get a better deal than just doing it direct.
okay.
So just FYI, that's in
So
progress.
All right, okay, so we'll get together and talk about that soon then, or once you get the full report. Yeah, we're still waiting on a piece for fit testing equipment, but
We got it.
we got it. Okay, update. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. City Administrator Darren Rains.
First of all, I just want to say for all the departments, I'll start with Public Works, the guys helped out with the police and fire departments. They went and picked up all the materials, ordered them. And actually had some of them delivered, I think, for their little bit of remodel that was done in the fire station. The police department and one of the officers doing all the construction work, Mark and Wally and Nick, all the things they have done. If you haven't had a chance to look at the offices over there, it's amazing what they've been able to get done. Very impressive. So I want to thank all the departments and everybody involved in that. Speaking of parks, I do want to request a Parks Committee meeting sometime in the next probably couple of weeks. I think I had mentioned to you in the past, the VFW has approached us about a project of hanging banners on our light poles on First Street. And on each light pole would be in memory of a fallen service member from the city of Cosmopolis. And if we don't have enough to fill all the poles, then they would go to Medal of Honor winners from Grace Harbor County. And then I think there's going to be a few from Pacific County as well. So I want to talk to the committee about that, show them the two options they presented us, and then start the process from there. Changes that may be needed. Just one other thing I'll touch on real quick. I know we've got a big agenda. the Mill Creek Basin study, or actually Mill Creek multi-objective plan. HDR Engineering, who did the design work on our Mill Creek Dam, is going through Mill Creek, looking at all the culverts and stream widths, obstructions, anything that's causing, that can cause flood problems for us. We're looking at alternatives, including looking at alternatives, including removing culverts, putting in pump systems, do storm drainage, a little bit of everything. So hopefully by early March, we'll have a report, draft report available to present to the public to look at some options to show you what things we can possibly do to help remove the flooding problems we've got. Thankfully, this is 100% grant through the Flood Authority. The second component of this will be a 3 cities full stormwater management plan with the cities of Aberdeen and Hope. So the 3 cities that went together to do this as well. So by the time we get done with that, we should have our projects lined out for the next 20 years for some to get our flooding taken care of. Also, one of the primary components we need to be cognizant of is fish habitat improvements. So just like with the dam, that will be a top priority. I think that's it.
Thank you. Police report. Was there a police report this evening?
Yes. I want to touch base on the applicants. There are 2 additional offers that have been put out for applicants. One is entry level and the other one would be lateral. And that lateral, in lieu of a $5,000 signing bonus, which are getting the laterals, is asking to trade that for vacation and sick time. I believe Julie.
But it's on the agenda for tonight.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
And the trends lately, last month, were a lot more suspicious vehicle than suspicious person reports, which were unfounded, but it's good that the public is calling to report it at the time it's happening. I believe it was a few months ago when we had a Cadillac Converge stolen as well as the vehicle. And we didn't find it until the next day when we reported that it happened. So I think the reporting process is getting better. The call volume is within 100 of it was last year. Between 22,000 and 2,200. I think Darren already touched base on the moving things over to the fire hall for a temporary. All the reserves have actually lent the use of a bucket truck that he owns to be able to transfer the wiring over there for the internet, which is helpful. Jeff Seaman and the other reserve is donating 5 computers to the police department. So they're setting those up right now for us for the temporary stay at the fire hall, which is helpful. And equipment wise, we had a MDT, the vehicle computer go down this last month. We just purchased another one with approval. And that one lasted, I believe we got it in 2017 and it was refurbished in 2017. We got it. So we might expect more of that to happen next year or 2, just because they're hitting that age. I believe that's all that Chief Lane would have touched base on.
Perfect. Thank you. Fire report. Anything from the fire department?
Yes, I think as Detective Pascal and Career Rings have both touched on, we made a ton of progress over at what we're calling the public safety building for the time being. Fire code located there. As Councilmember Wenzel mentioned earlier, we're making some upgrades to software to make sure that we're complying with national and state reporting as well as tracking our for the department. So that's where the kind of the need for computers and being able to do some more reporting as far as that goes. Keep working through training. We had the director of 911 down this last week, did a joint training for law and fire, going over the 911 system, there. We had another one of our members pass their national board for their certification today. So off the paperwork, certified with the state, so you practice. We have 5 members on the books. One additional member just passed his background check, was sending for physical. The next step, I'll be asking for confirmation at the next, or at the next council meeting, as long as physical passes. And we got a new support applicant today that will start working background check and working through the next steps. I would like to take a moment to appoint our city of Cosmopolis deputy chief to Mark Terabacchia. Mark has talked a lot about this position, and there's no way that I can fill the role of duties that I am here to do without the help of Mark and all the hours that he puts into the fire. My final item is, I know that we talked about it later or earlier last year, that we have a lot of our bunker gear is set to expire later on this year. The majority of it minus about 2 sets. I had a meeting with the Federal Emergency Management Agency, the Assistant Firefighter Grant Program yesterday, and discussed this as a potential project with them. They deemed it as a high priority project as far as the funding goes, given the size of Cosmopolis, we have 5% cost match. So I would request council approval for applying for AFG for fiscal year 22. That would include the 5% match. I estimate about $3,000, which did budget $8,000 for volunteer replacement for this year. So we are awarded that that set aside for this purpose. Is there any questions for the AFG grant?
Is that something you're asking for council?
Yeah, so. Yeah, I think something important for us to talk about in this is that. We've been talking a lot about the bunker gear over the last several meetings. A lot of it was expired. But the big component of this is it's all fitted to the person. It's not one size fits all or one size fits many. It's really tailored to each person. So it's important that firefighters have the proper gear that fits correctly. And I would just say, I would make a motion to approve the fire department to apply for this grant. And then we can discuss after that.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded to allow the fire department to go out for this AFG grant. Discussion.
So Nick already mentioned, we have 8,000 budgeted out of the total fire budget for gear. And this ask being 3,000, this would be a huge match for us. Otherwise, we'd only be able to replace a couple, 3 sets. So I'd rather the whole department get fitted out.
Further discussion?
Will this grant be available? Say we have 5 individuals now, but let's say over the course of this year, if more volunteers join, will they be able to go under this grant?
I need to look back through the notice of funding opportunity, and there's different projects under AFG only replace bunker gear for as many members as you have. Others, it's for replacing equipment. So if it's replacing equipment, we could request the full 15 sets that we have for 15 sets of replacement. If it is for how many members that we have, it would be at February 10th when the application submitted, how many members we have on the books. That we will ideally still have enough funds for 2 more sets throughout this year if we have it.
Hearing no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So pass. Let's get it. Perfect. On to mayor's report, and I do have, oh, I've got one more department head, sorry. Finance director, Julie Pope. I was going off the wrong list.
Payroll's tomorrow, I'm gonna remember that. So, last Thursday, our Express Bill Pay software was set up, so we have a whole new online portal for utility payments. And this software is amazing. It does the paperless billing, auto pay. And I've currently set up the last year's worth of your bills in there, so you can see 1 year's worth of history. Going forward, it will have a total of 24 months. So it's similar to kind of what the PUD does, but it's obviously not their software, but it's super easy to use. It's even something here at City Hall, if you need help setting up with, we're allowed to go in there and help with the setup process. We can set up your auto pay, the whole 9 yards. So if you guys have any questions, we'll be here to help answer them, but I do encourage everybody to at least take a look at it in case it's something that you're interested in doing. They have apps, text messages and everything, so it's pretty cool. Our audit is almost done. In fact, the auditor is going to be here Friday to finalize all the data that they need, and then starting next week, it should go into review. One thing that I didn't add to the agenda with the new hire that Brian was talking about, our lateral new hire, one of the things in bringing him on is that he would like to start with his seniority level for his years of service as an officer. He comes from Pierce County. He has, I believe, would you say 14 years of service, Ryan?
Right, between 13 and 14.
13 years of service. We are so lucky to be able to find a lateral in today's climate in law enforcement. I strongly encourage the council to approve us starting him out at basically 160 hours of vacation, which is 14 years. And he would get longevity of 3%. We do need council action because that goes against the policy that is currently set where everybody would start at the beginning on those things. So I'm asking council.
Did the union sign off on that?
I
Giving
would
him,
have to ask
giving
Pete,
him seniority?
You know,
Today was the first day I've heard of it,
oh,
or within the last couple of days, so it has not been scheduled.
okay,
I have to look at that and see what the.
I just assumed he had, I don't know.
Steve, can we make a motion with that addendum that if it passes?
Conditionally
with the
pending
union condition?
Well, the benefits, I don't think the union would have a problem with, but giving somebody seniority that's brand new in the
I see.
department, I think.
I see.
It's not necessarily seniority, but just the benefit portion, like
Okay.
he gets the longevity and he would get the vacation. As far as his rank within the department seniority wise, that's different.
Okay,
He would still be, you know, low man on totem pole.
okay, I guess I
That's-
misunderstood when you said seniority.
So that, sorry,
It's
to
okay.
clarify again, would that be? Where did I write it? The longevity at 3%, is that the,
That's for that
like-
10 to 14 years service.
but is that like this, the base pay? Is that what that applies to, or
It
what?
applies to base pay only, does not
Yeah,
apply to
okay.
overtime, it does not apply to on-call pay, nothing else, it's strictly on your salary.
Would that be a problem, Steve, or do you think we have to run that?
I don't think that would be a problem. Just seniority is,
Yeah,
that's
that's
a
a whole
whole
separate
I phrased it
negotiated
wrong,
thing, right?
Chief Lehman also was telling me that Chief Green, City of Aberdeen, had done a study on what it actually costs to get a police officer trained through the academy, outfitted, and actually on the street. And the cost is estimated at $113,000. So getting somebody that already has all those qualifications
And local ties.
and local ties is gonna save us a tremendous amount of money. And he can get out on the street with a more than likely shorter FTO training period. So it would be very, very helpful to the department.
I make a motion that we pay his hire at that he's requesting.
160 hours and longevity at 3%.
Yes,
And he's asking for those things in lieu of the signing bonus, correct?
No, that is a separate topic.
Okay.
I don't want to get into it too much, but just because it's on the agenda later. But we have been offering a $5,000 signing bonus. He is asking in lieu of the cash, can he go ahead and start with some vacation and some sick time to start off with, because he has a family. So that way, if something happened, he would be able to do it and not miss any pay.
it's just a one-time.
Yeah, it's a one-time thing. And also, if he were to quit, not stay the 3 years like in the agreement, he would pay it back.
So I'll-
Doesn't that kind of tie with the, if you're starting at an accelerated higher, your higher date is at a 14-year level. Wouldn't you already be coming through the door with vacation that you,
No, you would just
No.
accrue it faster.
Right, that's the difference.
But because the signing bonus is on the agenda, so
That's a
thi-
separate
so
item.
this, the discussion right now, correct me if I'm wrong, is to approve bringing you in with the longevity.
So we
Correct.
have a motion on the floor, so I'd like to second that, and then we can continue discussion.
Thank you.
Yes. There is a motion on the floor and just, can you repeat that for me? Is it the longevity related to longevity?
Starting with the
Yes,
3% longevity.
And the 160 hours. of
right.
vacation.
Okay, I just wanted to confirm. So there's a motion on the floor, discussion. Further discussion.
What is the concern about the union? Is this union approved?
We don't want to do anything that would go against any sort of collective bargaining and supersede any of the agreements that we have in place.
So that would go again, like if we were discussing seniority dates, that's what it would apply to, because we couldn't change that.
All right, just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Don't be.
Does not appear so.
Mhm.
Motion on the floor. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? So passed. Look forward to adding to the team.
That's basically all I got for now. I'm done.
Park superintendent.
I've got a lot less than you guys. have, so-
Thank you.
Well, I've got a lot
Keep it
more.
short,
so.
But I just want to give everybody an update on the meters. We started again this month. We're at 55 meters right now this month, so we're really trying to push to get these things done in the next couple of months. We got probably about 350 left. So doing it this time of year takes a lot more time, and they're full of mud, full of water, full of. But this is the only time of year we have time to do it, so. I just want to give a report on that. I'll talk a little bit more about the landscaping agreement later on and under the new business, but I don't think I really should talk about it now, huh?
I will wait, yeah.
We'll wait till we get down there, so other than that, that's what I have.
Perfect, thank you. For mayor's report, and I will try to keep it brief, but I never am. So on the agenda this evening is the prospective appointments of a new fire and police chief, and I just wanted to give a couple moments. That Nick, Fire Chief Nick Valley has agreed to become on as the chief, and I don't think I need to tell any of the council, but for those in the audience, I mean, he has been integral in rebuilding the department and bringing us into compliance with just innumerable areas that have been lacking. And I would say without a doubt, the correct person for this role has full support of myself and Darren and staff. And so I'm going to be asking for council confirmation for him as fire chief this evening. Also coming up, police chief Heath Lehman. He accepted my offer to serve as police chief, served the city for many years. And like I had said before, he was my first and only choice for the role. And it was his to consider before we even looked anywhere else. So that is pending council approval this evening as well. One thing of note, this morning I was on a presentation regarding king tides, just speaking about flooding, it made me think about it. Final king tides of the season are coming this weekend. Hearing from National Weather Service and NOAA, and I feel that Nick can probably confirm as well. It doesn't appear that these are going to be as robust as we've seen in the past, so we're not expecting any sort of massive flooding, but with the possibility of rain, it's something to just keep in mind. So just keep watching, as this is the last one, at least that's thought to come up this winter. In sad news, recently, the community lost Frank Majeski. Frank had served on the city council from 2003 to 2007. But I feel it's probably safe to say that he was known by many local residents. And so he will be missed by many. Last week, myself and Darren and Steve were all here, and we were able to sign the documents to transfer approximately 24 acres of property over to the city from the Druzianich family. They had approached us over a year ago, and discussions had been ongoing, and their intent was to donate the property specifically to be used for a park area similar to Macarenco Parkland, and when that came into the city. And as many of you know, we do not have a robust parks funding budget. But we will be submitting funding requests to Recreation and Conservation Office and elsewhere, and we look forward to building out this land over the coming years for a place for the entire community. There is a lot of work that needs to be done before it is any sort of public ready or anything, so it's not open by any means, but it will be down the line. It's something to really look forward to. As far as the RFA, Central Grace Harbor Regional Fire Authority, we continue to meet and hammer out the details that would be included into the plan. That includes additional meetings prior to the filing date next month, including one tomorrow here in Kazi. Plan is not finalized, so anything you may hear or see, it's not final. Details will continue to be worked out, and once it is done, it will be brought back to the council of all three cities for approval before being sent out to be filed for the upcoming election. And then there will be a robust schedule of informational meetings held throughout the cities to ensure that voters are aware of the proposal prior to voting. But again, nothing is finalized until it's finalized. And final thing, council committees. I had a note to do at this meeting and I totally forgot, so we'll do it next meeting, but I'm going to reach out to the council with a list of the available committees and boards and ask for any preferences from the council on those. And then at the next meeting, those assignments those assignments will be laid out. I'll give you all the option to sign up for things. If we don't get people to sign up for certain ones, we'll appoint. Also, at the next meeting, the council will need to elect a mayor pro tempore for the year. So just something to think about if anybody on the council does have interest in that or not, just something to keep in mind. And that is all I have. We do have an executive session on the agenda tonight to discuss qualifications of an applicant for public employment. And so we unfortunately are going to have to clear out the chambers for
No more than
15 minutes, and we will return after, but we're going to take a little break. We're going to have to clear out for a little bit, and then we shall return. 7:52.
Oh, I
Keep them low.
Hey,
Sorry, I want to go in here. One bad air, one no air.
oh, my.
We will reconvene. We're gonna get back into business in just a second. We're just double checking. We had a little technical difficulty on there, so we're trying to make sure that people listening at home could see us, so. If somebody on the chat or something wanted to give a hand sign or something or anything, just let us know that we are being broadcasted.
Oh, and stuck.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, both of you. Moving on to new business, 2023 connections agreement. Who wants to handle this one?
That's law enforcement, isn't it?
Right,
Yeah.
can you explain what the agreement is, basically the Children's Advocacy Center?
Yeah, with Connections, what they have is they have, trained professionals for forensic interviews. So when we have, sex offenses that we investigate, we'll take the children to that location and they have the qualified people to interview them and help them with the resources to get through the process. It's a contract that, it serves Grace Harbor County, so all the agencies use them as a resource.
And this is, we sign this every year, and this is the same as last year. So what is the council's pleasure?
So moved. Second.
Move to approve the 2023 agreement with Connections, a Center for Healthy Families. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So passed. Back to you, item B, landscaping agreements.
So this is what I was talking about earlier. So, last fall, we been out a scope of work for First Street landscaping, which is all the flower beds. As everybody knows about that, they look last year, so we're trying to get somebody to come in and take care of it. We got one bid, and it was way too high within our budget, so we just had a bunch of volunteers go out and do what we could and got them down. So we recently received another bid. And I went out with him yesterday. And the company is Apollo Janitorial Services. We went out and drove and we talked about all the things that need to be done. So it's every flower bed from this end of town to that end of town. Mowing on both sides of the road where it needs to be mowed. The park in front of Cosmo entrance, that park is on that as well. Our main pump station where the mural and where our sewage treatment plant goes, that is on there as well. The little park coming into town, First Street parking lot next to the RV park, that park is on there as well. The Lions Club is actually on there as well. They're able to do this and also the full block of here. So this is all these trees here, all the trees there, it's pretty much everything. First Street and Second Street flower beds and all the mowing. They're coming in at $2,000 a month. So at $24,000 a year, all that is completely done. There's not gonna be weeds in there, there's not gonna look, they're gonna look great. If they're a landscaping company, that's what they do. So, with that being said, that fits our budget way better than the other one. So hiring this out is also gonna just help us save money. It's gonna help Julie budget and myself budget what it's gonna cost us every year for mowing these parks and to do the streets and the planters and all that stuff. We're not gonna be paying for fuel. We're not gonna be paying for our benefits, and it's gonna be really good for us. It's also gonna allow us to be able to do the maintenance that we haven't been able to do on Mill Creek Park, all the other parks in town, and the streets, the sidewalks, all that kind of stuff, because all summer long, we're just mowing them, trying to keep up. Like I said earlier, now we're doing water meters in the worst time of the year, so but this is when we have time. by contracting this out, it doesn't mean that we're not gonna have any parks to mow. We still have Mac Rainford, we still have Mill Creek, we still have roadside mowing, we have everything still left to do, but. I believe that this is gonna help us do the maintenance that we need to do on our other facilities. I've also, don't know if I should touch on this or not, about the cemetery.
Sure.
I also talked to them about maintaining the cemetery, and that is just strictly mowing. Mowing and weeding, mowing the headstones and limbs and things. We still do burial, things like that. We're still kind of narrowing the price down for that, but it looks like that can be probably cost effective as well. That is our two biggest things that take the most time. Multiple times this year, Tom Gammon and myself were up there for 2 days, all of us, for 2 days up there getting it done. And that just takes an effect everywhere else. So I believe it's, a good price. He's able to work with us. At the beginning, the $2,000 was just strictly the planters and a little bit of mowing. And as I went with him and showed him these other parts, he just told me, I will do that all. So he's actually giving us a pretty big deal. So he just incorporated them all, so. Absolutely, they have quite a extensive, scheduling, how many times they're gonna be here. Checking things out, pulling weeds, pulling garbage, it's gonna look sharp, and I think with people going back and forth through town, that it's gonna be well worth our money.
And this is something like Jeff mentioned, it's gonna save citizens a lot of money going forward. We just simply will never have the revenue stream coming in to build public works back up to the staff levels they used to have. They used to have 6.5 people in that department. Now there's 3. We're hoping to get one later this year when the mill gets back up and running. But this is so time consuming as the cost of everything goes up. Like Jeff said, the payroll taxes, your Department of Labor and Industries, your other benefits. It's probably going to be about 30 to 35% cheaper than what it would with city staff doing it. And so that's going to make things more efficiently. And we talked about today, some of the things over the last 5 years that I'd had in budget reports, projects we wanted to do in public works. Didn't have time, so we started thinking about that list and other things Jeff's already got going in his mind. I know, I'm sorry.
No, but yeah,
The city's gonna start looking like it used to, and we're gonna be able to do things more efficiently. And face it, it's just not gonna go back the way it was. We've got to find ways to cut costs and do things more efficiently. So it's a good opportunity.
What's the council's pleasure on this landscaping agreement?
I'm making a motion to approve the landscaping agreement.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the landscape service agreement with Apollo Janitorial Services LLC. Any discussion from the council?
Is this a 1-year contract?
it is in one. And then we'll look at it after that, and then like I said about the cemetery, this is something that, I want to get some hard numbers on what that's gonna be. Then I could present that later. And budgetary reasons, we'll know exactly how much it's gonna cost to maintain the cemetery. The other cost of the cemetery, the barrel is paid by the people, so. It'd be a lot better budgeting for Julie. I know she'll like that a lot better, and it's also our biggest time consumption. Hopefully we can get the other things done that we've been not being able to do.
My only question is, it's paid monthly, $2,000 a month.
Yeah.
At which time, if it's not working out, if things aren't to the city standard, do we have a way out?
Yes.
It's a 1-year contract. Tentatively. But it's on a monthly basis, correct?
I read in there earlier that it was, we can terminate it if it is not sufficient, and
Okay.
it'd be something they could do the same thing. But yeah, it's a.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? So passed. You're gonna be the one that has to break it to Ed that you're taking away a lot of his work.
We got more stuff for him
Yeah, I
to
figured.
do. Already broke it to him today at lunch, he put it in, I said, the more. The more on First Street, you gotta find out, come more else.
When is that, when do they start?
That would probably be something that we just contact them and see if it's something they wanna start February 1st.
I would assume so.
I would think so, there, I don't. It's 2 weeks, I mean, we can go another 2 weeks without, I'm sure there'll be some meetings and going over with their.
Perfect, thank you. Next item, item C, police chief employment agreement. What's that? You want that one? It's all you.
So all the department heads have an employment agreement that was approved by council in the past. With Heath coming on as the new police chief, we did a few modifications. And in doing so, what we did was we added some of the benefits. Heath is a police officer. And so instead of just following the city's guidelines, like for holidays and things like that, we get Christmas Day off, but police officers don't. So like our current officers, they get their bank of holidays and then they can take them when they choose to. So we took some of the items from the union contract and put it in here for his benefit. Such as the holidays. So the city is recognizing the 12 holidays that all employees get. And that he'll have the option to cash them out like the union members do at the end of the year if they don't use them. He'll be able to cash out vacation like the union members do. And his unused accrued sick leave will be paid at the rate of 50% up to 240 hours upon separation. That's also something that's in the union contract, but city employees that are non-union, we only get 25% up to 240 hours. Since he's a police officer, we felt like he should get the same benefits that the other officers get. Obviously, the pay would still be set by the mayor as authorized by the city council by resolution, just like the other department heads do. Also, we put in the clothing allowance, which according to the union contract is $850 a year, which I don't even think covers a jumpsuit, does it, Ryan? Or it's pretty close.
Yeah, pretty close. It's usually about one, if you're going to jump, so you're gonna jump to the next small item. Maybe boots or
And shoelaces.
something. Right.
And then also like the union guys get their duty pistol every 5 years. We wanted to incorporate that in there as well for the police chief. Those were the only changes that we made to the agreement. Everything else is the same as it was in the past.
What's the council's pleasure on this employment agreement as presented?
I make a motion that we approve the employment agreement. with police.
Moved and seconded to approve the police chief employment agreement. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So pass. Next up, item D, fire chief employment agreements.
I will let you and Darren take on this one because you guys work with Nick on it.
Darren, you want to touch on this?
Yes, this is a similar format as the police chief and as well as the other department heads. The difference is this one does not pay out your vacation and sick leave. At this time, you don't accrue that it's a part-time position. If in the future something were to change and you didn't have a full-time chief, those things would be readdressed. Look at some other highlights here. The compensation will be set by the mayor. The benefits
With council approval.
with council approval, as are all employees. Yeah, that's basically it. There's no other details in this one simply because it's a part-time position. So Nick could look at this and
Yeah.
I've gone over it with us and helped us do some edits that removed police chief in
Yeah.
certain areas and we tried to sneak that in on you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he helped us edit this to fit this position, so I think it's a good agreement.
Yeah, it's something that hasn't been needed as much before, but anybody that knows Nick knows how much he loves paperwork and documentation, and I love that so much. So wanted to have something on paper so that we all knew where we sit as far as fire chief. So what's the council's pleasure on this?
I'll make a motion to approve the confirmation of Nick Valley for. fire
Not
chief.
yet. We're just approving the fire chief employment agreement.
I quit. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Uh,
Whoever may be fire chief.
I make a motion to approve the employment agreement.
Moved and seconded to approve the fire chief employment agreement as presented. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So passed. Now for the good stuff. Item E, police chief confirmation. As I stated, Chief Lehman has already been appointed by myself. I am just asking for council confirmation to allow him to be our police chief. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded to appoint Heath Lehman as the Cosmopolis Police Chief.
Doesn't he have to be present for that?
It's in spirit.
Doesn't know we're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't tell him.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So passed. Katie Sealing?
No, he's not
Oh.
on there.
I will let him know, but I'm sure that he will know quicker
Oh,
than I'm
maybe
gonna be
not.
able to. Yeah, exactly. Now for the really fun part. Item F, fire chief confirmation. We've talked to, worked with, and finally got him agree to take the white hat. But Nick Valley is by all means the correct person for this role. He has agreed to be our fire chief, and I have appointed him as such. He has been acting in that capacity for months now, just waiting for him to get the business cards ordered. So I'm asking for council confirmation before he can back out.
Okay, this time. Will make a motion to approve Nick Valley as Cosmopolis Fire Chief.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded to appoint Nick as our fire chief. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So passed. I'm gonna take a pause real quick. Make it official as well, but again, you are by far the right one for it, so we're.
My beautiful wife. for
Yeah.
anyone that doesn't know me.
Ah, so, thanks again. And just so in case it hasn't been made, he hasn't told you, I have told him numerous occasions. Family first. Then the department, so I've reminded him of it, so. That's only because, and I've told him, I am afraid of you, so I don't. Thank you for letting us borrow the times, a lot of times. So, back to the agenda. We already covered item G earlier in the meeting, so now it is on to item H, police recruitment signing bonus agreements.
So this is the standard agreement that we used to pay the $5,000 to previous applicants. You'll notice that there is red lettering on the first page, and that's to put in hours of vacation and sick. So it says the city will tender a recruitment signing bonus to officer of 106.15 hours of vacation and 35.38 hours of sick to be added to the officer's first regular paycheck after successfully completing the department's field training and evaluation program to assume solo patrol status. This offer is in lieu of a $5,000 signing bonus. So in this agreement does state that they have to be here 3 years. So if they do not and they use the time, then they must pay it back. It will come out of their final paycheck. So other than that, everything's the same as in previous agreements.
one thing, and I'm,
We would make it.
I missed it. Steve pointed out, it should be
You're fired.
sick leave.
What's it say?
Sick.
35.38 hours of sick. Yeah,
We have to make an amendment to it.
no, that's why I jumped in before it even,
Before we. move
yeah,
that.
so,
So it says that
yeah,
now.
that's just clerical, so.
It says it.
So what is the council's pleasure on this signing bonus agreement?
I'll make a motion to approve the change. Make a motion to approve the police recruitment signing bonus agreement.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve this recruitment signing bonus reimbursement agreement. Any discussion?
This is a one-time offer to one individual, is that
Correct.
correct?
That is correct.
And again, it's in lieu of.
Mhm.
Further discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So passed. It's already that time. Council comments. Councilmember Marcus.
I want to thank. Yeah, you know who I tell right there, you blush so nicely too. And the whippersnapper over there. And you, Mark.
Oh.
Thank you so much for sticking with it. Me too.
Councilmember Carl.
Appreciate it.
I'm gonna actually request a workshop before the next meeting to discuss some building permit issues. I received an email, I think the rest of the council did.
Yeah.
One thing that came up out of that was. It reminded me that years ago, we actually looked at removing permits for roofs. Replacement of roofs, windows and siding. We actually discussed that 5 years ago.
Quite some time, yeah.
Because of the cost, but code enforcement to go out and inspect them and stuff, it's just not cost effective. On the permit cost doesn't cover the inspections. So I'd like to have a workshop before the next meeting, maybe for a half hour or so to discuss those issues.
Is the building official available?
We'll make sure Bill is available, yes, and he has given us. A sample of what the city of Aberdeen charges for permits, and I think it's similar to Hoquiam, but well, Steve, if you could
Yeah.
get those for us, that'd be. Just so we can look at this from all angles and.
Maybe we should go for an hour. What do you guys think? An hour at workshops?
Yeah, there's several pieces to it. We probably should do an hour.
Our workshop prior to the next council meeting.
We'll try to get copies of those permit fees, what we're charging now, what the other samples are out there. Get those to you,
Sorry.
and also some examples what the other cities in the county is doing, so. Steve and I talked about this a week or two ago. So, yeah, we'll get some information out to you to look at before the workshop.
And that's all I got.
Perfect. Hey, all you.
Congratulations to the new chiefs and. Been a very. lengthy meeting. But we have a lot to say.
It's a short one. Good thing you're new.
No, I've been along.
Miles.
I'll go in order of things I want to talk about from the agenda. First of all, thanks Linda for presenting us with the grant application. Sounds like an awesome project down there at the Lions Park. So looking forward to some improvements down there. And then I just want to congratulate Chief Heath Lehman on his appointment tonight and confirmation. I'm excited to see the department move forward, especially with pending, but 2 new officers coming on board. So really excited to see that. And then finally, congrats to Nick Fowley for being appointed and confirmed as the chief of Cosmopolis Fire Department. Pretty exciting for me. I've known Nick for a long time. Very proud of you. Congratulations.
It is now time for public comments. Anybody from the public who would like to make any comment on city items? More than welcome. Again, we ask that you try to limit your comments to 3 minutes if at all possible. And just introduce yourself prior to your comment. Yes, Linda.
1203 Denby Drive. So there wasn't really a comment on the agenda, but I would like to make it. I know that we all know, or we should know, Ed Van Sickle, and one of the things, I've been in Cosmopolis now 18 years. It doesn't go unnoticed that this man has dedicated hours upon hours of his time to improve our city. Just of recognizing, I think we all have recognizing, but one of the things I would like to see, and I think it would be supported by many citizens in this city, that we have an Ed Van Sickle Day, and that it's recognized and it's on the radio, it's in the paper with pictures, and some kind of plaque at City Hall. For him to go beyond like he has, and will continue to do. And hopefully he'll be running for a government position here in Cosmopolis coming this November. But I would like to move, if I'm not sure how I state this, but I believe we need to have it at Van Sickle Day, be recognized and really recognized, not a little blip. Let's do it up big and have some kind of celebration for them. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. And I will absolutely concur with your comments. I mean, it cannot be understated how big of an impact that has been made in the city. I mean, couldn't even begin to touch on the impact. So thank you. We'll look into see what we can and can't do. The floor is absolutely yours, sir.
Okay, Ed Van Sickle, 135 Alder Drive. What I do for the city, I do because I want to, I enjoy it, I get good exercise, and I don't need to have any kind of special, I guess it would be accolades. Just people acknowledging to me that they appreciate what I do has been rewarding enough, and I don't need other.
Understood.
Whatever.
At the least bit, we're gonna name a mower after you.
My wall, I have a plaque on my wall, and that's great.
Can we name a mower Mr. Ed? That'd be awesome.
You have something to do?
I'm gonna get. the
Yeah.
letters cut out.
Right.
Mr. Bowers, 19 Stanford Drive. Want to graduate, Nick for being the fire chief. Want to graduate, the other assistant chief on stepping up to help out. These two young men are the awesomest ones of doing the best for the fire department.
Concur.
I'd like to say something.
Absolutely.
I'd be remiss after you threw me under the bus. So, the picture of Mayor Kyle, you gotta get it in paper because then he.
Oh, I know the role.
Mark Karbaki, 511 Woodside Road. I'm a citizen here right now. And I just want to say that the citizens of this community are getting a full-time chief on a part-time salary. He has put in so many hours. And I always have a saying, I'm almost 58, and I always say, I want to be like him when I grow up. You know, he has got the ability to make things happen. You know, folks don't realize that being in a volunteer fire department, it's not a good old boys club anymore. There's state mandates, there's rules and regulations that we have to follow, just like the career guys in Aberdeen and Hopewell. And Nick is gonna make that happen in a smooth transition. Our guys are going to be response ready for the citizens of our community, and they're gonna get the best of what he gives us. And that's gonna be the best fire department that
Causey has had, and Causey has had a rich history as a fire department. There's been great people in that station over there. And we're not gonna forget that. Nick's not gonna forget that, but I just want to say that the citizens of this community are getting a great person in Nick Valley. And I'm gonna support him and work hard. I'm a knuckle dragon firefighter with a high school diploma, and I'm gonna have to up my game 100% to keep up with this guy. And that's a great thing to say. That makes me proud to say that. And I think we all need to appreciate what just happened here tonight with getting Nick on as fire chief.
Any other public comment this evening? Hearing none. It is 8:23. Thank you, everyone. Call this meeting to a close.